Thank you for joining. Today, we're listening to episode 2 of the Voice Ignite TV podcast, talking about AI and where it's impacting in different areas. And marketing is one of the key areas that every business needs. And, from SaaS startups to security to whatever you may be doing. So today, our featured guest is Sherry Prescott Willis, who's been a friend of mine for over 20 years, having met at Interop. Back in the days of the Interop trade shows in Las Vegas. We've been good friends since then, and we're talking about where the impact is happening, and especially in the demand gen space where you've kind of really focused over that. You have been doing marketing for over 20 years, I believe. Sherry?
Yes, it's been a minute, Raj.
It's a minute, okay. That's great. That's great. So, great. So, wanted to kind of see from where things are going in the demand gen space, and kind of I like to keep our conversation towards high level. So for the audience who are listening, who are not tech savvy, or if they're business owners or startup founders, if they're in that space, kind of talk about, giving examples which are more, that the average person can understand. So.
Sure.
Great.
Well, first of all, thank you and congratulations on launching your podcast series. And
thank you.
I'm thrilled to be on episode 2. So thank you for having me. And I think it's been a little more than 20 years, but it's fine. Well, let's keep it at 20. So I've been focused on demand gen and growth, I think, for the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. And really digging deep into how do you drive pipeline and accelerate revenue for mostly B2B SaaS companies, smaller, mid-size, some enterprise. But when you mention demand generation, I don't know, for your viewers, some of them might be very technical, some might not. Maybe we should start with, what is demand generation?
Yeah, could you give me a high-level overview on that, please? Yeah.
Yes. So, demand generation is a strategy. It's an approach to really creating awareness and interest in your company's products, or if it's a solution or service. That's basically what it is. And then from there are programs, and you may have heard of companies coming up with a demand strategy, or coming up with maybe there's somebody in the actual organization who focuses on demand generation programs. And those could be anywhere from an event to a digital campaign to a social campaign. It could be any number of channels. So usually the channels and the programs that are driving demand come from somebody who is running demand generation at a company.
Nice. So from a high-level perspective, if you are a startup today, just as an example for our audience, you want to get out you've created the best SaaS software that's out there, but nobody knows who you are. How are they going to do that? Is that by taking out press releases, obviously hiring some agency, or just kind of at the high-level perspective? Could you elaborate on that, please?
Yeah, I mean, I think at a high level, and I'm assuming you mean a company that nobody knows anything about, right?
Exactly.
Never heard of them. I think the first thing you would do is, I wouldn't necessarily jump to a press release. I would look at where your potential buyers look. What are they reading? What are they downloading? Where are they going in terms of trade shows and conferences? What are they reading? What communities do they listen to? Are they on, for example, Reddit community? Are they, are they listening? Are they on TikTok? Are they on YouTube? And then deciding what it is about your product or service or solution that could be relevant for them. What kinds of problems could your company solve for them, for those companies? And then I think you have to kind of build out, what's your story? What's your narrative? What is it about? And you can throw out an example. We could use Voice Ignite, Raj, since that's your company. What is it about Voice Ignite that is interesting for these startups? Why would they need your company's services today? Right. And I think, you offer a number of services. I think we've talked about some of them. Voice to text, you're doing IT solutions, you're doing a number of things. So I think you have to first build out your messaging platform. This is something that would give you an understanding of what your product or service does, how you're better than competitors, what differentiates you in the market, and what kind of business outcomes would you receive if you were working with voice.
If somebody engaged with us.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of step one, or you could do those two things in tandem, and then once you have an understanding of where they're going, I mean, I would always advocate for testing, doing a test pilot, doing a test run. If you're going to try an ad, if you're going to try any campaign, to maybe do a test run to a smaller group of contacts, if you will, and see how they are responding to your messaging before you spend a bunch of money on Google Ads, before you spend a bunch of money on a big ad campaign. So that's how I would approach it. I think you mentioned press releases. Those are usually reserved for a larger, like a product announcement, something really large that's coming out that your company is doing that would be newsworthy. And I think you would probably reserve those for something very big.
So something like how we've seen here in Silicon Valley, where you had, when OpenAI came out with ChatGPT, exactly 2 years ago, November of 2023, right? I mean, it just came out like, oh, let's try this out. You know what it was. And now here we are 2 years later, and it's caught on like wildfire, and
kind of it's insane, right?
It's taken off, and now people are talking about, hey, let's take AI and put it into a robot, So the possibilities are endless, but we're at a different industrial revolution, or as they're calling it, the fourth industrial revolution. So
yeah, I've read that. Yeah, and I think most marketers today in my circle, I mean, most of us are using ChatGPT 5 or Gemini, we're using Perplexity, we're using it daily in our workflows already. And of course, there's a learning curve because we're all learning it together. But I think most marketers are using AI today in some capacity. And I don't know, you're probably using?
We're using it for a lot of our content creation that we do. We're using it on a research basis, looking at our competitors, looking at prospects. So we do have AI. A lot of our software we're using is actually, especially for lead generation or when you're buying leads and stuff, they all have AI in there, where they have the automatic email tools built right in. We're very careful on what it is, because I said, I don't want to get just spammed like that. Do some research. I tell my staff, we got to research these people who we're contacting. So you have some context of who you're going to talk, whether you're poaching them on LinkedIn or you're poaching them from email, or you're going to drive a phone call. There's got to be some means of credibility, so.
Absolutely.
That's kind of approach that we take.
Great. Good to hear it.
Right. So what about security in AI? And especially in the demand gen space, everybody talks about, hey, we're using ChatGPT, we're using Gemini. Okay, you're giving your data to these companies, right? That is one issue that I've spoken to a lot of folks about, especially in the security space, because we do IT security. That is the biggest fear. Hey, my data is going to this company and I can't download it. It's there forever. When you sign that, I accept the terms of use, that's what you're doing. Do you see marketers today saying, what, or the clients that they're out there, that maybe let's not go with ChatGPT or Gemini, and let's go with more open source tools like Quinn or any of these other open source tools where you can have that, run it locally on your GPU, on your laptop or desktop, or a company's intranet if they have a farm of GPUs, and saying, no, we want to retain everything here locally as opposed to going to the public cloud and using public services.
To be honest, most of the people that I've talked to that are using it have been using it for messaging, campaign, enhancing workflows. And I think there's been less sensitivity on that in terms of
on security.
On the security side. I think it would be interesting for you to talk to maybe a C-level, like a CIO or CISO, to see what their thoughts are.
Right.
I actually think that could be a whole podcast, Raj. that could in itself.
I'm working on a CTO right now who's going to come on, and I'm going to chat with him because, wearing any kind of C-level hat means that your whole team, whether they're sales, their operations, marketing, security's got to be for everything. It just can't just be for IT only. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think if you're developing a product,
mm-hmm.
I don't know how much you would be using. Well, I guess it depends on who's developing the product and how much of the proprietary information is going into the AI tool and
right.
what they put around it to lock all those confidential pieces of the code. That might be definitely an interesting topic. But I think the purpose
we'll save that for the second interview, or
I think
maybe I'll do a panel.
I think most of what I'm hearing and what I'm using it for is research,
mm-hmm.
enhancing accelerating campaign components. So a messaging platform, a brief, social content, maybe a white paper, etc. Things that would be customer facing.
Right.
Maybe not something that an engineer or a CISO would read.
Right. That's great. So I know we have, so if we're going to talk about, getting back to the topic of demand generation, what are the shifts that you're seeing, as far as generative AIs creating, from where we are? Because I know there's every vendor out there, whether you're using HubSpot, you're using Salesforce, Demandbase, Gong, these are more enterprise-ish tools, but the same philosophy applies to SMB and startups, right? Whether they use these tools or they use other tools, these are essentially just tools. But where are we at today here at the end of 2025? And what do you see for 2026, and where do you think things are going? And as far as from intent-driven marketing to as companies come across and saying, oh, we've got intent-based data. That's the big buzzword when you buy data today is, oh, we've got intent-driven data. Could you give me some of your knowledge on that?
Yeah. Let's do the intent part later. So, I think the biggest shift I see is that AI is really becoming part of all of these tools that we're using. If you think about a tech stack and you think about a marketer using a tech stack, and most companies are using, let's say they're using Salesforce,
mm-hmm.
they've got a Marketo or a HubSpot instance, and then they have some tools layered on. I think most of these tools are coming out with an AI copilot that's actually built into the tool. So you have that going on, and then you have these thousands of AI, there's BDR tools, there's event, all of these tools that are out there. You've seen them. There's so many. I think the biggest shift is that these tools are becoming part of our workflow. So I think in 2026 and beyond, it's not going to be an AI tool that we are thinking about in terms of this AI tool is doing X. I think we're going to start to see that we're thinking about AI in terms of our workflow as a marketer, as a demand gen person, as a RevOps person. And so the AI is already built into the workflow.
Right.
So I think what it's going to do is shift the way we think about how we're making decisions. So instead of us, and here's an example, going to a RevOps person or a marketing ops person saying, I've got a board meeting in 2 weeks. I need to know all of these channels and how they're performing. And I need you to do it from the start of the quarter to today, through next week, and then waiting for 2 weeks for this data. For this report, we're going to get this data in real time. So it's allowing us to look at we're looking at data in real time, And
Right.
the AI is going to be able to say, here's your data within minutes. So what does
Right.
that do? It's removing, well, I think it's removing one, a lot of stress from a
Right.
marketer who is waiting on data and combing through data. And two, it's accelerating your ability to make decisions faster. So, for example, if I know that there's an ad campaign or a campaign that's running that started at the beginning of Q4, and now I have data that says maybe this campaign isn't performing well, I'm going to be able to pivot faster and say, okay, let's pivot to something else and invest our money in another bucket. I think before these AI tools, we were doing this manual. So I think we're going from manual to live intelligent data, and we'll be able to make our decisions faster. So as a result, I think marketers and salespeople will benefit because they're going to have this data faster.
Right.
And your CMO and CROs and CEOs should be able to get a clearer picture faster before they walk into their board meetings, before they have to make big decisions. So I think, I think it's intelligent actions will be the result versus us having to do but I still think you're still going to need a human to double check and make sure, and the human will make the decision.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that's a big shift. I also think, and you and I think might have had this conversation before, I think this is going to put more pressure on the people that are actually doing face-to-face with the customers, because there's no excuse. If you have all this, if AI is telling you what your prospect clicked on, where they've been, what they're consuming, what got served up, what was good for them, and predicting, then you should have a rock solid conversation. So I think there will be a better opportunity to have a richer conversation with your prospects and your customers as a result, because you're going to have this data in front of you. So I think there will be a better customer experience when you get them on the phone. So I think that is, I think that's naturally going to happen when you have this data and being able to say, hi, I'm Raj. I saw that you clicked on this amazing report and you've been doing this for a couple quarters. Let's talk about something. Is there something I can answer for you? Or do I have, or do you have everything you need that maybe could help you to get to trying this product or service that I'm offering you? So I think removing that time and stress will be very beneficial for marketers, salespeople, and the business. I think the health of the business as well. Yeah.
This reminds me back when I was in college, there was a video that came out from Hewlett Packard called 1995. It's actually on YouTube. And it talks about how one company's trying to outbid this other company. And they're like, okay. And they had this little Microsoft, the paperclip guy, Clippy. So it had that like a software agent saying, hey, how can I help you today? It says, oh, go get me the data on the rainforest from this period to this period. And it went and did that and came back. Here's your data, presented it, That is now come to life today with agents. And that's where we are today, so looking at that. And for those who are listening here, if you're of age, if you grew up in the 80s, look up the video on YouTube called 1995, just to bring in some humor there. But it's funny from what where tech is going and that level. So.
Okay, so I know you mentioned intent, and so I know there might be people out there who are who have heard of these tools that determine intent for prospects, and I think it's important to note there's a lot of tools that can do this, but I don't think intent data is like a magic bullet. I don't think it solves everything. I think it actually is a signal that your prospect or your customer that you're interested in talking to may have some interest in something that you're doing. And so I think it's important to use this intent data as a signal, but to use humans to verify that this is indeed a signal that might be worth paying attention to. And I think, you see the Sixth Sense, all these tools have intent signals that are built
Right.
in. So I think one, is it useful? Yes, it's useful to know that there's somebody on your website that's downloading and consuming your content
Hmm.
over a short period of time. Okay, that's useful. But two, what are you going to do with that? So now
Right.
there's some work to do, which means maybe now I'm going to go investigate that particular account and see what's going on over there. Is there a project? Maybe there's not. Maybe you're just having a conversation.
Right.
But I still think you need a human to verify. So use the intent data,
Right.
use the human to verify that this is actually something important.
Got it. Would you consider a white paper still worth for any company to do today to put onto their website? Because
Would I
those
consider white paper, say it again,
yeah. So
useful?
let me so the white paper's always been the one bread and butter for some companies to say, hey, let's come up with case studies and white papers, put on their website, it's on our blog, and people fill out a form to go get, they'll get an abstract and then they can download the whole thing. But with video, people have their attention span has shrunk just like kids. So now you got a 30-second attention span or a minute and a half attention span. You're doing that. Is there any correlation between, let's make that into a video white paper as opposed to just giving a full PDF, or would you want to do both still?
I think it depends. The answer is it depends on your ICP, right? So
Right.
if you're targeting like a DevOps engineer,
Mm-hmm.
so that's the kind of person that wants the technical, I need the proof points, where's the data? I want to read the
Right.
white paper, and they probably will
Right.
read it. If you're talking to a C-level who doesn't have a lot of time, maybe they would actually consume the video version. Although those guys probably wouldn't have time to read it either. So I think you still have to think about who you're targeting and how they're consuming the content. A deeply technical audience, I think, yeah. Do I think that a white paper is still valuable? Yes, I do. I think they have a series of check marks that they need to follow when they are reviewing a company. Do they have they have a case studies? Do they have a white paper? Do they have third-party validation? Do they have customers that are talking openly in a positive way about them? So I think there's a series of things that companies do to make sure that you are legit and that you are someone that they want to talk to. So I think even if they don't read it, it's expected that it's on the site. I do think technical people still do consume white papers and those solution briefs. So I think they have to be done. I think those video white papers are a great idea for maybe a department head that wants just a 2-minute quick review. But I think at a larger scale, people are using YouTube. Even technical audiences are using YouTube to find how-to videos. They're learning how to build things. They're looking at fails, like how did you fail? I want to look at what not to do and what to do. And then they're using those as a check mark to say, yeah, I've got all this. Now I'm going to go look at this company because now that I see that they've actually solved a problem and they brought a customer on that has solved the problem, I trust them. So I think there is a technical audience, and there's an opportunity for technical people to go to YouTube and look at videos. So I think that's it's starting to be more the norm, is to have those videos there as well, in addition to your doc pages, your white paper, your case studies, all of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you agree? Yeah.
I had a conversation recently with somebody, a friend of mine, and was talking to him, and he's like, yeah, he goes, everybody's doing videos from 5-year-old kids to 80-year-old adults. So why do we need to even have white papers? And I said, you do bring up a very good valid point. I said, it is true. I said, everybody's kind of scrolling up on their phone, and I said, there are times there you want to read, and I said, that's the whole aspect, because not everybody understands everything from video, or even if you're seeing subtitles, you're going to still want to read. And that's still part of building your comprehension and to understand and get a different dimension of how you're understanding what the person's trying to get the message across.
Yeah, and I still think an enterprise level company would have the expectation that you have third-party validation, that you've, some analyst has written something about you, that you're showing up in a white paper somewhere. I think there's still that expectation.
Right,
I don't know.
right.
You might think different. I haven't heard anything changing in that respect.
Yeah, we've shifted more towards video white papers where we talk about a case of what we're doing to solve problems for our clients. So,
Hmm.
but we still do put out our PDFs, and we'll do it both.
Hmm.
We'll say, if you want the PDF, here you go. If you'd like to get the
Hmm.
audio, here's the MP3. If you want to watch it, here, give the person multiple means to download and consume the content. So,
Yes. And I think I've seen, and you may have seen this too, in companies that have a resource center, it's not just one type of content piece.
right,
It is
right.
selection. They've got, if they've done a webinar, they have the archive of the webinar if you want to come back later and watch it. If they
Mhm.
have a white paper or case study, maybe they have a video version, but they also have, a PDF. So I think it's, they're serving up, I think companies are serving up a variety of um, pieces of content so that you
Mhm.
don't walk away going, well, they didn't have what I wanted the way I like to read it. I think
Right, right.
it's and I think, we have all these tools to translate things. There are tools to translate scripts,
Mhm.
and Zoom can translate our conversation today, and somebody
Yeah,
could, if they didn't want to watch us, they could read the script. And I think,
right.
it really depends on the individual.
Right, right, right. Yeah. No, I know. I mean, eventually this will get transcribed and it's going to be there, and we're going to kind of put it in that fashion. So this way we can have it in multiple formats, because how you're going to, you're on a subway, you're on your phone, you don't want to play the audio, you forgot your Bluetooth headphones. You're like, okay, I can read along, but I can read and hear it. Now I'm consuming and picking up at different means. So very good.
Yeah.
Towards the end of we're at the end of 2025, as you know. I want to wish you a happy new year. So,
Yeah. Happy New Year to you, Raj.
any thoughts, closing thoughts for the next for 2026? People should be kind of looking at any guidance of you could advise our listeners.
I think, and this is from my conversations with people this year and
Mhm.
talking to my network, I think the most important thing to look at is your existing workflow. So if you have a workflow, and I'm going to use, I'll use a campaign manager for an example. If you're a campaign manager and you have a series of tasks that you do over and over again, or
Mhm.
a product manager, if you're launching a product, there's a series of things that you do to launch your product or campaign. So I think we, as business people, need to look at things in terms of our workflows and
Mhm.
how efficient they are today, and how we can automate things that we're doing constantly that we know are
Mhm.
part of
Mhm.
our launches and our projects to make us succeed, and use AI to help us automate those pieces. And I think that will be beneficial for us, and it will allow us more time to think about strategy and to develop deeper relationships with the people that we work with and find out what our customers want. So I think that's the biggest thing is, what's your current workflow? How can you automate it? I know you guys probably do this with your clients all the time, but I
Mhm.
think as marketers, we need to do this. Um, and I think everyone that I've talked to, learn as much as you can. So,
Yeah, yeah.
try to learn the different, most people are using ChatGPT 5. I mean, I use that every day.
Mhm.
Learning Gemini. I mean, I think just immersing yourself into um, these AI tools, and then figuring out what works for you, and
Right, right.
and and just trying things. I've been just playing around with Substack. It's something I don't know, but everyone is, jumping in, and just go for it and try it and see what works. And
Right,
then I think from a customer prospect perspective, we have to do the same thing.
right.
Like you were just talking about, is it video chat? Are they consuming webinars? Is it YouTube? What is it that they're doing?
Right.
And jump in and test it. There's nothing wrong with running a pilot and doing a
Exactly.
campaign and seeing what works, and then you know going all in when it does work. So I think testing um, will be good in 2026 too. I think those are the
Mhm.
two things. What do you think? Anything else?
Awesome. Yeah, no, I think in from where we are as a company also, we're at a point where we're going to be doing more outbound, but we're focusing more on inbound also, so both go hand in hand. You got to have the outbound, you got to have the inbound, you got to have pursuing, very selected people on LinkedIn. I mean, LinkedIn, as I talked to a lot of folks, they're like, man, it's become spam. I said, trust me, I know. Anybody who's a professional will know that they're getting poached by all kinds of folks and the bait and switch that tend to happen. So who do you really trust? And I said, unfortunately, it is what it is. There are a lot of good people out there. It's just a matter of finding your right prospects, and doing something on LinkedIn with LinkedIn ads, or, doing a webinar where you can find the right people, because ultimately it's going to come down to that, to have the inbound. The days of the lunch and learn in a hotel can and still do work, but because that's more face-to-face, and it's the business-to-business face-to-face networking that still is king of the hill in a lot of ways, because sometimes you go to certain events where it's more about the networking, it's not about the event.
Yes.
Because you're building that community of people who are in business, or they're a C-level, or they're a director level, or somebody who's in tech. So I think that still does play a big role. There's no magic wand to figure out where things are.
Yeah. Well, and you said something interesting about, the face-to-face is still important. And I agree. And I think, a lot of people are they're using AI to generate, let's say you're going to generate a nurture or an invitation or something like that. I think tone is going to become so important in 2026, right, where the humans, I mean, I've got a teen that, I summarized something that I found on AI, and I put my notes at the top, and she said right away, did AI write this? So I think we have to be really good about checking tone and making sure, is this authentic? Does this sound legit? Because at the end of the day, our prospects don't want to they want to talk to a live person, and they want to feel like we care about them. And so I think tone is going to become really important in all these communications. So if you're going to invite someone to a round table, it's got to sound like a real person who understands their problems. So I think we all have to check tone, check the, how authentic are we sounding? Because
not sounding like your AI.
Yeah. I think we need to sound like we want to really solve a prospect's problems, and we're not just automating everything.
Right.
And at the end of the day, they do, I mean, you have a fairly technical ICP, right? So if you go to an event, they're going to want to talk to their peers. So if you're going to do an in-person, make sure that it's real, that you've got the right people there, that you've got customers that have used Voice Ignite. They can sit there and have a conversation with them, because that's what they're expecting.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's not going to change, right?
Well, thank you very much, Sherry. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
This has been great. For the audience, you're listening to Voice Ignite TV. My name is Raj, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you very much. Take care.
Thanks, Raj. Happy New Year.